Hello and welcome back to Exploring the Master Key System Teachings to Positively Taking Care. In this video, we'll be covering part 12 of the Master Key System written by Charles Haanel, where he references the 3 steps necessary in utilizing the spiritual nature of thought. He elaborates on why the law of attraction is considered the law of love, and he reminds us to pay attention to how what we think today creates our tomorrows. Hello once again and welcome back to Exploring the Master Key System Part 12. In this video, as well as all the videos in this series, we're going to begin with a brief reading of the introduction, and it reads like this. Introduction Part 12. Part 12 is enclosed herewith. In the 4th paragraph you will find the following statement. You must first have the knowledge of your power, second, the courage to dare, third, the faith to do. If you concentrate upon the thoughts given, if you give them your entire attention, you will find a world of meaning in each sentence, and you will attract to yourself other thoughts in harmony with them, and you will soon grasp the full significance of the vital knowledge upon which you are concentrating. Knowledge does not apply itself. We as individuals must make the application, and the application consists in fertilizing the thought with a living purpose. The time and thought which most persons waste in aimless effort would accomplish wonders if properly directed with some specific object in view. In order to do this, it is necessary to center your mental focus upon a specific thought and hold it there to the exclusion of other thoughts. If you have ever looked through the viewfinder of a video camera, you found that when the object was not in focus, the impression was indistinct and possibly blurred. But when the proper focus was obtained, the picture was clear and distinct. This illustrates the power of concentration. Unless you can concentrate upon the object which you have in view, you will have but a hazy, indifferent, and vague, indistinct, and blurred outline of your ideal, and the results will be in accordance with your mental picture. Next, for the basic concepts in Part 12, starting with the 3 steps necessary in utilizing the spiritual nature of thought, Mr. Haanel writes, "There is no purpose in life that cannot be best accomplished through a scientific understanding of the creative power of thought. This power to think is common to all. Man is because he thinks. Man's power to think is infinite. Consequently, his creative power is unlimited. We know that thought is building for us the thing we think of and actually bringing it nearer. Yet we find it difficult to banish fear, anxiety, or discouragement, all of which are powerful thought forces, and which continually send the thing we desire further away, so that it is often 1 step forward and 2 steps backward. The only way to keep from going backwards is to keep moving forward. Eternal vigilance is the price of success. There are 3 steps, and each one is essential. You must first have the knowledge of your power, second, the courage to dare, and third, the faith to do. With this as a basis, you can construct an ideal business, ideal home, ideal friends, and an ideal environment. You are not restricted as to material or cost. Thought is omnipotent and has the power to draw on the infinite bank of primary substance for all that it requires. Infinite resources are therefore at your command. But your ideal must be sharp, clear-cut, definite. To have one ideal today, another tomorrow, and a third next week means to scatter your forces and accomplish nothing. Your results will be a meaningless and chaotic combination of wasted material. Unfortunately, this is the result which many are securing, and the cause is self-evident. If a sculptor started out with a piece of marble and chisel and changed his ideal every 15 minutes, what results can he expect? And why should we expect any different results in molding the greatest and most plastic of all substances, the only real substance? The result of this indecision and negative thought is often found in the loss of material wealth. Suppose independence, which requires many years of toil and effort, suddenly disappears. It is often found that money and property are not independence at all. On the contrary, the only independence is found in a practical working knowledge of the creative power of thought. This practical working method cannot come to you until you learn that the only real power which you can have is the power to adjust yourself to divine and unchangeable principles. You cannot change the infinite, but you can come into understanding of natural laws. The reward of this understanding is a conscious realization of the ability to adjust your thought faculties with the universal thought which is omnipresent. Your ability to cooperate with this omnipotence will indicate the degree of success with which you meet. Charles Haanel then goes on to warn us of what he labels counterfeits and fascinations of the power of thought to avoid. In his list, he mentions worry, fear, and other negative thoughts, but he also includes phenomenal seekers of seances, Hindu worshippers, adepts, telepathy, and hypnosis, labeling them perversions with temporary satisfaction and fascinations of the power of thought. I suggest that you read this section yourself, and that I find that this section in this 24-week course is one of the sections that remind me of how long ago in the process of inductive reason this book was written. Otherwise, it can seem somewhat offensive. The main thing that Mr. Haanel is trying to get across is that the power of thought's potency is in harmony with natural laws and from each individual I. The so-called counterfeits and fascinations that he speaks about are not so new to us in the 2020s as they were in the early 1900s. After all, in the process of inductive reasoning, over time you may find something that may have seemed like it was counterfeit has been proven otherwise. And when it comes to the fascinations, over time, as we learn more and more about them, that we have a better understanding. However, like I said, I think this is a part that is best read by the individual. And please, if you do read it or you've already have read it, please share your thoughts in the comment section below. He then continues on this topic as he concludes his reasoning in stating, all of these provisions have their temporary satisfaction and for some a keen fascination, but there is an infinitely greater fascination in the true understanding of the world of power within, a power which increases with use, is permanent instead of fleeing, which not only is potent as a remedial agency to bring about the remedy for past errors or results of wrong thinking, but it is a prophylactic agency protecting us from all manner and form of danger, and finally is an actual creative force with which we can build new conditions and new environments. The law is that thought will correlate with its object and bring forth in the material world the correspondence of the thing thought or produced in the mental world. We then discern the absolute necessity of seeing that every thought has an inherent germ of truth in order that the law of growth will bring it into manifestation good, for good alone can confer any permanent power. Next, he goes on to state the law of attraction is the same as the law of love. He states, the principle which gives the thought the dynamic power to correlate with its object and therefore to master every adverse human experience is the law of attraction, which is another name for love. This is an internal and fundamental principle inherited in all things, in every system of philosophy, in every religion, and in every science. There is no getting away from the law of love. It is the feeling that imparts vitality to thought. Feeling is desire, and desire is love. Thought impregnated with love becomes invincible. We find this truth emphasized everywhere the power of thought is understood. The universal mind is not only intelligence, but it is substance. And this substance is the active force which brings electrons together by the law of attraction so that they form atoms. The atoms in turn are brought together by the same law and form molecules. Molecules take objective forms, And so we find that the law of love is the creative force behind every manifestation, not only of atoms, but of worlds, of universe, of everything of which the imagination can form any conception. It is the operation of this marvelous law of attraction which has caused men in all ages and in all times to believe that there must be some personal being who responded to their petitions and desires and manipulated events in order to comply with their requirements. It is the combination of thought and love which forms the irresistible force called the law of attraction. All natural laws are irresistible. The law of gravitation or electricity or any other law operates with mathematical exactitude. There is no variation. It is only the channel of distribution which may be imperfect. If a bridge falls, we do not attribute the collapse of any variation of the law of gravitation. If a light fails us, we do not conclude that the laws governing electricity cannot be depended upon. And if the law of attraction seems to be imperfectly demonstrated by an inexperienced or uninformed person, we are not to conclude that the greatest and most infallible law upon which the entire system of creation depends has been suspended. We should rather conclude that a little more understanding of the law is required, for the same reason that a correct solution to a difficult problem in mathematics is not always readily and easily obtained. Finally, Mr. Haanel reminds us to pay attention of how what we think today creates our tomorrows. As he writes, things are created in the mental or spiritual world before they appear in the outward act or event. By the simple process of governing our thought forces today, we help create the events which will come into our lives in the future, perhaps even tomorrow. Educated desire is the most potent means of bringing into action the law of attraction. Man is so constituted that he must first create the tools or implement by which he gains the power to think. The mind cannot comprehend an entirely new idea until a correspondent vibratory brain cell has been prepared to receive it. This explains why it is so difficult for us to receive or appreciate an entirely new idea. We have no brain cell capable of receiving it. We therefore are incredulous. We do not believe it. He goes on to say, if therefore you have not been familiar with the omnipotence of the law of attraction and the scientific method by which it can be put into operation, or if you have not been familiar with the unlimited possibilities which it opens to those who are enabled to take advantage of the resources it offers, begin now and create the necessary brain cells which will enable you to comprehend the unlimited powers which may be yours by corresponding with natural law. This is done by concentration and attention. The intention governs the attention. Power comes through repose. It is by concentration that deep thoughts, wise speech, and all forces of high potentiality are accomplished. It is in the silence that you get in touch with the omnipotent power of the subconscious mind from which all power is evolved. He who desires wisdom, power, or permanent success of any kind will find it only within. It is an unfoldment. The unthinking may conclude that the silence is very simple and easily attained, but it should be remembered that only in absolute silence may one come into contact with the divinity itself, may learn of the unchangeable laws, and open for himself the channels by which persistent practice and concentration lead to perfection. And now to cover some of the study guide questions at the end of Part 12, starting with 111. How may any purpose in life be best accomplished? Answer: through the scientific understanding of the spiritual nature of thought. 113. How is the practical working knowledge secured? Answer: by the understanding of natural laws. 116. What is the principle which gives thought its dynamic power? Answer: the law of attraction, which rests on vibration, which in turn rests upon the law of love. Thought impregnated with love becomes invincible. 119. Why is it impossible for the mind to grasp an entirely new idea? Answer: we have no correspondent vibratory brain cell capable of receiving it. Next, to move on to the technique exercise for the week, reading straight from the book, it reads like this. This week, go into the same room, take the same chair, the same position as previously. Be sure to relax, let go both mentally and physically. Always do this. Never try to do any mental work under pressure. See that there is no tense muscles or nerves, that you are entirely comfortable. Now realize your unity with omnipotence. Get in touch with this power. Come into a deep and vital understanding, appreciation, and realization of the fact that your ability to think is your ability to act upon the universal mind and bring it into manifestation. Realize that it will meet any and every requirement, that you have exactly the same potential ability which any individual ever had or ever will have, because each is but an expression of manifestation of the one. All are parts of the whole. There is no difference in kind or quality. The only difference being is one of degree. So that concludes the exploration of the Master Key System, Part 12. Please remember to share your comments, perspectives, and insights in the comment section below. And thank you for watching.